Hi everyone, it's Nichol Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to share this very fun holiday hug in a mug card using add-ons from the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero November 2021 release. Everything on my card today is from the release, including the background stamp, the sentiments, and of course the darling die cuts. So we are going to start by stamping our background. I'm going to take the new ARGYLE pattern bold print. I have a feeling this is going to be so popular. Both bold prints this month are amazing. I will be sharing some more ideas with products from the release coming soon, so definitely stay tuned. But this card is going to feature that ARGYLE pattern, and you can create all kinds of amazing ARGYLE backgrounds with this. So think fall cards, think obviously the holidays and beyond. It's just a really amazing pattern stamp. Use it to decorate die cuts. Maybe you want to make some ARGYLE mugs. You could stamp or die cut rather, the mugs that we're going to be using right here, the hug and a mug stamp and cut extra large set. You could die cut these from patterns that you have stamped. Really a very versatile and fantastic background stamp. I personally love like fabric pattern backgrounds because I think they just work amazing in all kinds of situations. I stamped this pattern on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel of Hero Arts Palm cardstock using Lawn Fawn Noble Fur ink. I love tone-on-tone patterns, and so that's what I went with. I'm going to set that aside, let that dye ink dry. It will dry really quickly. I already know I want to stamp and emboss on this, and so I did that first so it could be drying while I color in the components from that Hug and a Mug Stamp and Cut XL. Stamp and cuts are always some of my most favorite from the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero add-ons. I think they're really versatile and I love die cuts. You guys know this about me already. I think die cuts are amazing. And one of my very favorite things to do, of course, is to color in my die cuts with Copic markers. I'm using red violet, so the RV colors in 10, 11, and 14 for my first mug. I thought pink and red mugs would pop against that palm tone-on-tone ARGYLE background. My first mug is going to be pink, of course. You can see I'm using my pink markers to just shade in the cardstock. All of my die cut pieces were die cut from Neenah 110-pound weight smooth white cardstock. I die cut multiples of the large marshmallow, multiples of the small marshmallow, multiples of the holly and berries, multiples of the candy cane, and obviously multiples of the mug. The whipped cream I die cut once, and I think, you guys, I think that's it. So I used everything that comes in the set, but I wanted multiples so I could do 2 mugs. Then I'm going to take my R24 marker and I'm going to add some little stripes along the top and the bottom of the pink mug. This is one of my favorite things to do. You can see I'm kind of using my stamp set as a guide because I want to stamp and emboss the solid heart from the stamp set right there in the center of my mug, and I want to make sure it's not going to go over either of the stripes along the top or the bottom. Once I have my red mug all colored, I am going to set that aside for a second, and we're going to work on the candy canes. So I want each of my mugs to be a little bit different. The pink mug is going to have hot chocolate in it with whipped cream on top, candy canes sticking out of the top of my mug, and then we're going to adorn it with some holly and berries and some marshmallows down near the base. For the candy cane, I am using R46 and 24 to color in the red parts of the candy cane. We'll use some warm grays in Warm Gray 1 and 00 for the quote-unquote white portion of the candy cane. And I accidentally got some of the red outside the line, and I'm just using a colorless blender to kind of push that ink back where it goes. Try not to oversaturate the paper if you need to do that. You'll notice I did that. It kind of made the red bleed out a little bit. but I'm going to let it sit, let that section dry. I can always try to push the ink back more in a second, or just simply use my warm gray markers to disguise the fact that the red bled just a bit. I'm not super concerned with it. I don't think it ruins the look of the candy cane. You can always go back over it if you want to, or just die cut another one and color it. But I like the two little candy canes. The candy canes are going to provide some nice height coming out of our mug. For the whipped cream for the pink mug, I'm going to use E40 and 43 to color it just a little bit, and then a colorless blender to smooth that out more. That E43 looks pretty harsh, and then I'm going to go over it generously with E40 and finish with the colorless blender, which pushes the ink out and about even more, smoothing out the whipped cream. What I love about the whipped cream, there are little slits in the die which make it really easy to be able to slide the candy canes in between some of those to tuck them down into what it appears to look like the hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate cards, like mug cards, coffee cards, anything like that. So this set, you guys already know, was probably it drew my eye first, and so that is what we went with. I'm gonna kind of lay things out as I work. I like to show this process of kind of how I'm thinking about it as I start designing. And I had even pushed some of that red in a little bit more. Remember where the red bled in the candy cane? I let it dry while I worked on the whipped cream, and then I'm just adding in my warm grays. You can make your candy canes any color as well. So we're going to do this for both candy canes. These would make darling gift tags. If you guys want to see me make some gift tags with this set, I can definitely do that as well. Drop me a note and let me know. But wouldn't this be cute to add the little mug, a decorated mug, on a gift tag and then tie it to maybe a bag of homemade hot, or a jar of homemade hot chocolate mix? Wouldn't that be super cute? My mind is just reeling with all the ideas that you can do with this set. So not only does it make cute cards, imagine using this for scrapbook pages about maybe hot chocolate during the holidays, or Project Life. You could decorate the individual cards with these tags, little homemade gift bags. You can add these to. I just think the possibilities are endless. I colored in the leaves with G24 and 28, the berries with our 24 and 46, and our, let me look again, 59. And then the marshmallows are a very, very light warm gray 00 and warm gray 1. And then the colorless blender. Just adding a touch of shading. I want these to very much retain the look of white. I say warm gray. I think I maybe used E43 and E40. For the red mug, we're using our red colors. So our 59, 46, and 24. Again, the red and pink mugs look really awesome against the green Argyle background. I'm working on a glass mat, so anything that colors on the glass mat is going to easily clean up with a little stamp cleaner. Very easily. Do make sure, especially when coloring with red and getting that on your work surface, if you're using a glass mat or something else kind of slick, that you clean that before you color with something lighter. So before we would color like in marshmallows or anything like that, because you can accidentally pick up some of that color from your glass mat and transfer it to your project. So I always recommend making sure you just kind of wipe clean your surface before moving on to the next area. It looks kind of bad before it looks great, but I like how it has that little lighter area on each mug. And I'm just going to keep working to get a beautiful seamless blend. I love already how these two mugs look together. Now for our hot chocolate, I kept that insert piece from the hot chocolate when I die cut the mug. And we're going to color this in with E55, 57, and 59. I did an all over E55, a little E59 right along the bottom, E57, and then blending all over again with E55. Almost kind of ends up looking like a milk chocolate, hot chocolate mix in the mug there. And that little insert will be inlaid into each mug to look like the hot chocolate. So I kind of retained all of the little parts and pieces. And I want to make sure that's a nice seamless blend, so I'm really going over it and oversaturating the piece with E55. Looks like we have the mini marshmallows left and the second little holly and berries. That's going to be colored. The holly and berries will be colored exactly like the first set. I decided we needed more than just one on this card because I love all the little parts and pieces. And the little mini marshmallows will be colored just the same as the big ones. Then we're going to take our mugs, and I'm going to stamp them in the Misty, but I think both mugs need a little icon on them. So for the red mug, we're going to use the solid larger snowflake from that Hug in a Mug stamp set from the Stampin' Cut. I'm going to prep my mug with a powder tool first to keep the ink right on the embossing powder rather, right on the mug. I'm going to stamp the snowflake a couple times with the Hero Arts embossing and watermark ink. Sprinkle on our Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder and then heat set with my heat tool. And this is going to give us a bright white snowflake against the red of the mug. This is a mug that I would totally have in my kitchen for the holidays or on my hot chocolate bar. I love that. Next, we are going to adorn the pink mug with the heart icon. There's a large and a small snowflake, and then there is a heart. And I think this is perfect for decorating our mug. So right between those red lines that we drew on our mug, I'm going to stamp the heart with the embossing and watermark ink. And this time we are going to use red embossing powder to emboss that red heart on our mug. I'm going to tap that on. Want to make sure I have really good coverage, and then we will heat emboss the red heart. This would be great, yes, not only for the holidays, and you could totally use a snowflake here as well if you would rather, but imagine kind of continuing or getting more use, I guess I should say, of this die set even into Valentine's Day. So simply remove the holly and the berries and the peppermint sticks, and you can turn this into a Valentine's themed mug. Very, very easily. I'm going to go ahead and start adhering my mugs to my card. So I want to figure out my placement here first. And I'm going to buff away any of that powder tool left on the mug. And I need to put the mug on the right in front of the mug on the left so that the handle doesn't completely cover up the mug on the right. And that's just kind of how it worked for this card. We're going to inlay the hot chocolate. And then for the mug on the left that has the peppermint candy canes in it, I'm going to glue the candy canes into the whipped topping. And I'm going to use two separate little cuts here in the whipped cream to slide those peppermint sticks in, secure those, and you can see one is sticking out the bottom. I am actually going to secure that and then just take my scissors and snip that excess away. No one is ever going to know. And if you would rather, instead of candy canes, maybe have peppermint sticks, simply trim off that little hook up at the top, flip it around and stick it in the other direction. So that'll give you kind of a different look if you'd like to. I'm going to take the large marshmallows. I'm calling these the jumbo marshmallows, like the s'more making marshmallows, and we're going to tuck those just around our mugs. So two of them over here on the left. The final one will go over on the right. And then let's add our holly and berries up here to the top of our hot cocoa. Tweezers come in super handy when dealing with anything teeny tiny like these little berries. I also used them to hold my paper in place as I was coloring. And then we're going to place our second bit of hot chocolate in, and we're going to tuck our final large jumbo marshmallow over here on the right with some holly and berries next to that, kind of down along the base of the mug. So we've got our jumbo marshmallows, and then we've got the little mini marshmallows that go in our hot chocolate. I love that there's two different sizes. Definitely mix and match these with other things that you may have in your stash to really extend the life. You can also turn this into a winter themed card instead of a holiday themed card very easily. Different greetings from this Stampin' Cut: sending a hug in a mug, warm wishes, let's get cozy, have a cup of cheer, get your hot chocolate on, and wishing you a sweet season. Really, really fun. Now I did go ahead and adhere my elements first. A lot of times when I am creating a card like this that I know I'm going to stamp and emboss the sentiments, I will do that before adhering, but I knew that I needed to work around those peppermint, or the candy canes, pardon me, that are sticking up on my card. And I also knew I wanted to combine some different sentiments for my card, so I need to play around with that, and it was just easier to adhere them first. I love this season greetings from the Hug in a Mug Stampin' Cut, so I'm going to position that first, and then I thought I'd use another sentiment from that, but I don't really like that combination. But I really like the Wishing You a Warm and Cozy Holiday Season from the Cozy Winter set that's also brand new. So we're going to take that and stamp that first, right kind of centered at the top of our Argyle background, using the Embossing and Watermark ink again. This is my favorite ink for embossing. I absolutely love it. It is from Hero Arts. I'm going to sprinkle on my white embossing powder. We're going to tap off the excess, heat emboss that. I did notice that I didn't get a super great impression on the N in season, but I'm going to heat emboss it first. I'm going to place this back in my MISTI, and I will stamp that again and then heat emboss just that. So I'm really only going to kind of stamp just right there where the N is in season, and I'm only adding the embossing powder kind of just right there as well. Heat emboss, and then we're going to clean our stamp, move that, and stamp Season's Greetings. Now you might wonder why I didn't stamp both of them at the same time. I wanted Season's Greetings to be closer to this sentiment than it would have been if I had stamped them at the same time. I stamped that again, embossed with white embossing powder. I again didn't think I got the best impression, so I'm going to place it back in my MISTI and stamp it one more time, especially kind of out there at the end. That's just, I didn't press very well, I don't think. That is why I like to leave my sentiments or stamped images in my MISTI until I make sure that my background or whatever I'm stamping is perfect. That way I can always go back and line it up and stamp it again as needed. Okay, I did put my background back in my MISTI. I did stamp my sentiments first because I know I want to take some white pigment ink, and I'm using the Hero Arts Unicorn White Pigment ink, and I want to stamp the steam from the Hug in a Mug set coming off of the mug on the right. And I want to do that with the white pigment ink. I stamped that a couple times. I'm going to remove that from my MISTI, and I'm going to carefully take a dry rag and just buff away any of that pigment ink that might be sitting on top of the sentiment. The embossed greeting is going to resist that pigment ink perfectly, and as that dries in the background, it gives the look of a hot cup of cocoa and the steam coming off. I'm going to place my entire background now on a white top fold card base. This is a pre-made card base from Simon Says Stamp. They're my absolute favorite. They already come pre-cut and scored. And there is my finished card. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this holiday Hug in a Mug card featuring the add-ons from the Hero Arts November 2021 My Monthly Hero release. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. A huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we will see you next time.